He was. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. This is the Marion City Council regular session for Thursday, October 19th. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Miskman.
Here.
Mr. Jensen.
Here.
Mr. Harper.
Here.
Mayor Abu Wasley.
Here.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Ms. Menzer. Here. Mr. Sterned.
Here. Thank you. At this time, we have a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, first on our agenda this evening is a presentation by our police chief.
All right, I'm jingling. I got my Good evening. Today's a big day for Mike Rozek and Nikki Holtz. Because we're here to reward them for their hard work, talents, and commitment to the city by promoting them further up in the chain of command of the police department. Mike is being promoted to lieutenant and Nikki's being promoted to sergeant. I know you'll find this hard to believe, but I have a tendency to joke around a little bit. But promotions are something I take very seriously. As a chief, I understand good looks and a winning personality can only carry me so far. Obviously, my good looks and personality will carry me further than our parks directors ever will, but I know those limitations are going. Yeah, because I know of those limitations, I know the thing I need to do is to surround myself with competent individuals because I know I don't have all the answers. So the truth be told, tonight is really about self-preservation for me and not so much about these two, but we'll include them nonetheless. All kidding aside, I've had the privilege of working with both Mike and Nikki for a couple of years. I've been impressed with not only their abilities, but their attitudes. These are the people others seek out for advice and help or direction on the department, which embodies what I'm looking for when selecting people to join our leadership team. Police work isn't easy. Cops have a different view of the world than most people, which can make leading sometimes challenging. It's not that they're trying to be difficult. They just have strong personalities, which generally result from always having to be the adult in the room on countless calls where people are behaving at their worst. Cops are used to being in charge. It's simply a survival mechanism that comes with the job. And because of this, it isn't easy for them to take directions from just anybody. They may obey orders because that's their duty, but they won't willingly follow someone unless they respect that person's character, judgment, and abilities. To me, that's what makes someone a true leader, having that ability to convince people to follow you because they trust you. Both Mike and Nikki have demonstrated they possess that ability and they earn the trust of their fellow officers. The other thing I've noticed with Mike and Nikki is they do what needs to be done and not just what is required. I've had people in the past ask me, why haven't I been promoted or why wasn't I promoted? You know, I show up to work every day and I do my job. And my response to them has always been, yeah, you show up every day and do your job, but that's all you do. You know, you see a traffic barrel laying in the street, you drive around it because it's not your job to pick it up. What we're looking for on our leadership team is the people that stop the car, pick it up because it needed to be done, and they get about their business. Both Mike and Nikki are those people. That simplifies things quite a bit, but in essence, what I'm trying to say is they exhibit behaviors I want our officers to emulate, because if they do, it will make us a better department. Being a leader isn't easy because you're putting yourself out there and you know you're going to be judged by others. It's not for everybody. Mike and Nikki have both demonstrated a willingness to do it and the ability to do it. They're ready to lead, and I'm ready to watch them. It's admirable. Selecting the right people for the leadership team is also important because in addition to the responsibilities and the workload, I'm going to push off my desk onto yours. You're going to have additional opportunities to influence our department, our culture, and our relationship with the community. Good or bad, attitude is courageous. So when I promote someone, you can bet your hat, I changed the word and put hat in there. You can bet your hat that person's going to be someone who has a positive attitude about our department, our community, and the city. Both Mike and Nikki possess those qualities. I'm confident these two individuals are going to help continue to lead the department in a positive direction. They understand their role as a leader is to ensure we accomplish the mission, do what is best for the community, and take care of our employees. Those three things don't always run parallel to each other or in that order. So there's going to be tough decisions that have to be made. But both of you are up to the task. You've demonstrated that you have the ability to make those decisions when the time comes. And I say that not because I expect you to always make the right decision, because I know nobody's perfect and we all make mistakes. I say that because I know when you make a decision, you make it for the right reasons. And that's the best we can ask for. If you make a mistake, you own it, you admit it, you learn from it, and you move on. No excuses, no denials. Again, all traits I want our officers to emulate. I'm proud to have both Mike and Nikki join the leadership team of the police department and want to thank them and their families for the sacrifices they made to reach this milestone in their careers. They both earned the right to be standing up here today. And while I have high expectations for them, I know they're up to the task. I'm going to ask their family members to come up who are going to put the badges on. A little background, Sergeant Mike Rozek has been with the department just under 25 years. He's been a sergeant for 7 years. He's been in uniform patrol. He was a field training officer supervisor. He was on the special response team or SWAT team. He was the team leader for several years, and he spent time in investigations. Nikki Holtz will be promoted to sergeant. She's been in uniform patrol. She's been on just under 10 years. Her anniversary comes up in December. She attended a lengthy school to become a bomb tech. She's going to continue in that role, mostly because I can't find anybody else crazy enough to do it. She's been in investigations where she excelled, and she was the union president. Proud of both of you. Congratulations, and let's get these badges on. Let's have a round of applause.
What was next to the top? Make fun of my camera.
Very cool. These promotions are always a favorite part of these meetings. It's always really, really wonderful to see people being rewarded for their great work and their service to the residents of Marion. So okay, next on our agenda is a public forum, which is a time set aside for comments from members of the public on any item that is on the agenda but not associated with the public hearing. Is anyone here to address the council on any item that is included in the agenda but not associated with the public hearing? This is the time to come forward. There will be another public comment section at the end of the meeting for all other comments. Okay. All right, seeing that no one's coming forward, we'll move to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. Items A1 through F1, resolutions 31634 through 31650.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented, including items A1 through F1, resolutions 31634 through 31650. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. For the next section, I will turn over the meeting to the Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 31651, authorizing internal advance for funding of urban renewal airport operating and support program for the Collins Road Extension Urban Renewal Area.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 31651, authorizing internal advance for funding of urban renewal airport operating and support program for the Collins Road Extension Urban Renewal Area. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 31651, as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries with one abstention. Back to the mayor.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-25, amending section 55-8 regarding scheduled violations, subsection 28-3 regarding noise or enforcement fines, and chapter 309-5C regarding vehicles, all-terrain, off-road utility, and snowmobiles of the Marion Code of Ordinances. This will be a final consideration.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the final consideration of ordinance number 23-25, amending section 55-8 of the Code of Ordinances regarding scheduled violations, and subsection 218-3 of the Code of Ordinances regarding noise enforcement, fines, and chapter 309-5C of the Code of Ordinances regarding vehicles, all-terrain and off-road utilities, snowmobiles, and snowmobiles. Okay, discussion? All those in favor of approving ordinance number 23-25, final consideration, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Next on the agenda is a public comment period regarding the request for no parking on School Street between First Avenue and Second Avenue. We'll open the public comment section. We'll have a presentation by the city engineer, and then we'll ask for comments.
Yes, Your Honor. So School Street between First Avenue and Second Avenue. This is a 27-foot wide street. And so as we progress through our parts of town, this would be one that would get no parking on one side of the street if it was built today. This rose to the top because of during release times. As you can see on the picture on the left, can become congested. So we went ahead and brought this forward coming from the police department. We have notified the residents that live on this block so they can provide public comment, and we do have at least one if there aren't any in the audience.
Okay, we'll come back for questions for the city engineer when we get to the resolution. At this time, the public comment section is open. Is there anyone here to address council on this measure? Please come forward. And I believe we received some comments outside the meeting. Rachel?
We received one comment from Dwayne Hartman at 120 School Street. He was against the no parking zone sign and we prefer a limited zone for only for school drop off and pickup hours.
Okay. And that's the only comment we received. Mike, did you receive anything?
No, that's all we received.
Okay, note that for the public record, please. And seeing no one else is coming forward, we'll close the public comment section.
Mayor, I move to receive and file Traffic Advisory Committee report regarding a request for no parking on School Street between First Avenue and Second Avenue.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to receive and file the Traffic Advisory Committee report regarding the request for no parking on School Street between First and Second Avenues. Discussion on receiving and filing the report. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to receive and file the report, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 31652, approving the establishment of a no parking zone on the west side of School Street between First Avenue and Second Avenue.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 31652, approving the establishment of a no parking zone on the west side of School Street between First and Second Avenues. Discussion on the resolution to approve the no parking zone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, maybe you said it and I wasn't listening very clearly, but this is kind of an incremental step of what we're attempting to do across the entire city to establish no parking on one side of each street.
Correct. Eventually, it would have been the targeted areas that we would have got to. However, we rose this to because of the issues that are going on.
Other discussion or questions for Mike? Nope. Okay, all those in favor of approving resolution number 31652, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion is approved.
Your Honor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-27, approving a request to rezone property from agricultural holding to PUD, planned unit development for property located south of Furno Road and east of Bluegrass Street in Marion, Iowa. And this is on behalf of Rookwood Estates LLC. This is our second consideration.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the second consideration of ordinance number 23-27, approving the request to rezone property agricultural holding to planned unit development for the property located south of Furno Road and east of Bluegrass Street. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve ordinance number 23-27, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Okay, the motion is approved. Next on the agenda is a public hearing regarding the moratorium related to commercial uses along portions of Tower Terrace Road, Highway 13, and the Central Corridor zoning districts. So the public hearing is open. Is there anyone here to address council on this measure? Please come forward and thank you. Please stand at the podium and state your name and address. Thank you. Welcome.
My name is Erin Murrin. My address is 482 Barrington Parkway. First off, I want to thank the city council for your diligence in evaluating in the evaluation of commercial growth, specifically within the area adjacent to my family's home on Barrington Parkway. Needless to say, this isn't the first time I've stood in front of either the city council or the Planning and Zoning Commission. Many of you know the details, so I'm not going to go too far into that, but I'll give you a little bit of the background to the best of my recollection. When we moved to Marion in 2013, zoning regulations for the Tower Terrace, Stonegate commercial properties were very strict in order to attract new homeowners and give them the confidence they would be moving near a family-friendly businesses. Prior to purchasing our home, reviewed the zoning for the property that currently backs up to our backyard, and were comforted in the fact that we would be moving into a family-friendly neighborhood. Gradually, the strict zoning restrictions, once in place, have incrementally been lifted. In January of 2015, commercial property owners petitioned to have the hours of operation taken out of the zoning and petitioned the city for conditional use to allow businesses to operate without the hours restrictions. Thankfully, it was denied. It was a relief to know that our property would be protected and the city's considered the needs of residents and businesses. In February of 2015, many of my neighbors attended the city council work session. During that time, the city council requested staff and P&Z to come up with a plan on how to inform residents about the evolution and future growth of Tower Terrace. The director of development at the time stated many residents were confused around Tower Terrace and they were either new residents or their realtors did not inform them properly. Councilman, now mayor, said staff should get ahead of this and reduce the amount of friction around the matter. He then directed staff and P&Z to be more proactive in these issues rather than reactive. In 2021, the city worked to update the zoning map for all quadrants of Marion. Unaware to many residents, the Tower Terrace property owners too took the opportunity to update and lift hours of operations. This was an opportune time as the city would not be required to individually notify homeowners of adjacent properties, since the city would communicate the updates to all of Marion residents. It's my understanding that many businesses along the proposed business corridor in question, as of tonight, were notified individually of the moratorium. Property homeowners were not. I acknowledge that this is a difficult task you have ahead of you, balancing the growth of both residential and commercial properties. I am 100% in favor of a moratorium on commercial development in order to better evaluate and balance the need to strategically grow commercial and residential parts of Marion. I would also encourage you to review and evaluate the standards of notification and communication to residential property owners who would be directly impacted by adjacent commercial properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to address council? Please come forward. Please state your name and address. And
My name
hand
is
the
Ga-
sheet to-
I was
Thank you. Oh,
Gay Sharp Richardson. I live at 1414 8th Avenue. And the reason I'm here, though, is to address a building that I own at 1244 7th Avenue. That is where currently the chocolate shop is at. But that next summer, they will be moving. And so I will be needing to look for somebody else to lease that building. Currently, there are about 5, 6 very large spaces for lease in Uptown Marion that are vacant. And so my concern is of being able to lease my space. I had in the summer started to think about a different use for the space, which would be a apartment in the back. And the same person who lives in the apartment in the back would have a business in the front. And the artists then, I just found out that the artists live work moratorium sounds like that would prevent me to be able to move forward on that idea for my building at 1244. So I'd like to, I guess, reconsider that.
okay. Any have questions for her?
It is
Thanks,
zoned currently. I talked to the zoning department before I started thinking about it. And it is currently zoned for, it could be residential and with a business in the front. It can't be 2 different businesses. I'm understanding that. I would be building it, potentially redoing it, the back end for an apartment for my husband and I, because we are downsizing. But it would be, I know, an attractive live, work, sell environment for many artists who aren't able to, only way that they can sell their art is put it into a gallery, and then a gallery takes 50%. So this is an opportunity for artists to be able to support themselves potentially if somebody else down the line that we lease it to somebody else. So, is that okay?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else here to address council on this measure? Nope. Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Good evening, Neil Marin, 482 Barrington Parkway. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to applaud everybody here for taking the time to consider moratorium. My interest specifically is on the Tower Terrace Road corridor. As my wife spoke a few minutes ago, we've been here several times over the past several years, voicing our concerns, voicing our opinions, and to some extent voicing some of our frustrations on how the target continues to move. I applaud this group of people for taking the time to consider this moratorium because it is the right thing to do. We have an opportunity specifically within that Tower Terrace corridor to develop with purpose and not to fill in blanks on a map. You look at the pedigree of that surrounding neighborhood and consider the architectural value of the buildings that are there today. You consider the societal value of the businesses that are run there today between dental care, healthcare, daycare, our school system, which is one of the best in the state. And you really should take the time, and I want to express my support of this moratorium, like I said, to develop with purpose and not fill in blanks. I'm not going to go down the path on the Dollar Tree store. My property backs up to what will be there as a Dollar Tree. It does not fit the pedigree of that neighborhood. We've been down that path before. I know this is not the forum to go argue that, but that's something that I look at. You already have a proxy for how that looks in 7th Avenue. You go down 7th Avenue, we see all sorts of different architectural elements. You see mixes of businesses that are not complementary to one another. They're not complementary to the neighborhood, and they're not accretive to the value of the community. And that's exactly why I wanted to express my support. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming in. Anyone else to address council, please come forward. Okay. Did we receive any additional comments outside the meeting?
Yes, we received a request from Atlas Company to remove the property zone business regional south of Highway 151 from the scope of the moratorium. A letter or an email from Gay Sharp Richardson, who just spoke. Mike Merrick at 5185 8th Avenue requests to remove his property from the scope of the moratorium. Tara Wagner at 542 Barrington Parkway in support of the moratorium, and Sonia Regals, 757 Eastview Avenue in support of the moratorium.
Okay. All right, seeing that there's no one else coming forward, we'll close the public hearing and proceed to the ordinance reading.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 23-26, approving a moratorium related to commercial use along portions of Tower Terrace Road, Highway 13, and the Central Corridor zoning districts. Second consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the second consideration of ordinance number 23-26, approving the moratorium related to commercial uses along portions of Tower Terrace Road, Highway 13, and the Central Corridor zoning districts. Discussion. Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, I think, Dave, this might be a question for you, and sort of looping back to our prior discussion on the moratorium last set of meetings. If there is a use or an opportunity for a property owner to ask for an individual reconsideration of what is encompassed within the moratorium, are we allowing for that it gets some supplemental review? And I think one of the letters we had received was a gentleman who's just on the edge of the moratorium area, and the question is, you know, he's on a borderline, I think. And I guess, do we retain that latitude to, on a case by case basis, to reevaluate their being encompassed in this?
We do.
Okay. What's the process for that?
The process, it's got a couple of steps. The initial step to get through the moratorium will be to bring in a specific project. That'll allow the council to weigh in on that project. I mean, obviously a major component of the moratorium is design considerations, making sure it fits the neighborhood that it may go in, but they'll bring that project in. It'll be an amendment to the adopted ordinance, the ordinance that you have in your packet. So it'd be an amendment to that ordinance. It'd have to be a public hearing. And then it'd be like I said, an amendment to allow that product or that use into, or creating that exception for the, for that use to go into the moratorium. And then it would, then subject to approval. Then it goes through the planning and zoning process of actually full design and approval at that point. Timeline, it's several months.
Right. So I guess, with what we've heard in commentary this evening, and then, from the gentleman who spoke to us at last meeting regarding, his being on, again, the periphery of the moratorium area. At least in my mind, it just, I want to share with my colleagues. It seems to me that if there is in essence, an existing endeavor that is being touched by this, but the objective of future consideration of those existing endeavors is not radically different. It's not like it's materially something new. I would just think that that bodes well for a reconsideration versus an altogether new project that is not underway, has no established presence in the moratorium areas. That's a new consideration, which I think we'd be obligated under this to say no. So I'm just thinking that there's a little bit of a opportunity to evaluate something that might be, quote, pre-existing and underway within this, within the moratorium. Anyhow, I'm
Correct.
starting to
Yeah, and it wasn't really,
around.
yeah, it also, we had an amendment to the ordinance. And we added that language at the tail end of the public hearing last 2 weeks ago. And it basically states that nothing in this ordinance shall be construed to create a legal non-conforming use for any property on which the use is already established. So the examples we saw would be, the pawn shop would be allowed, if there was that situation that something happened, they could obviously be established. Mr. Mark, who was here last 2 weeks ago as well, he had the storage operations, wanted to expand it. That amendment that Kara kind of came up with gives us the ability and leeway to allow those to still occur during the life of the moratorium. Then again, if it was something brand new, that's when we come back in with the amendment to revise or amend moratorium ordinance to bring that project forward.
Okay, good. Thanks. You've helped me think more completely about it, and what you have reestablished is we do have a pathway for consideration. So, okay, thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah, my comment about this, I agree with Grant's question completely, and the response was perfect for anybody listening or concerned about what may happen during the next year. But on a personal basis, I consider the artist live work to be one of the items on that moratorium I am the least concerned with. To me, that area, especially in the central corridor, adds an element to our city that is beneficial to our culture and to the individuals living there. So again, if something comes down the road and it's the right package, I would be completely in favor of it. So we've got that opportunity to do so. But again, this is one I would, if I were to take one off, I'd be fine taking it off. But as long as it's on there, there's a way for somebody to still complete a project. I'm fine with that as well.
I guess I'm in agreement.
Sorry.
I agree with Steve on that. I mean, if there's any area of the city where you would expect to see live work spaces, it's the central corridor. And in fact, we've had people do that. And but what I would say to Ms. Richardson is that this isn't changing the ordinance. This is just putting a halt on new projects. But until the comprehensive plan is completed, and there is a process during that 1 year period to have projects approved within, even though they're on that list. So, okay. Anyone else? Yeah, I would just want to repeat what I've said to developers that have talked to me, as well as what I said at the Medco meeting earlier this week in explaining what we're doing here. And you know, from the first day that I took office, I have advocated for growth. I think growth is better than the opposite. If you're not growing, then you're stagnating. But growth for its own sake is not necessarily what we want. Growth should happen in a way that's meaningful and that adds value to people's lives and the people who live here, and that adds value to our quality of life. So that's why I'm proud of this council for doing this. We're not trying to kill development. We're not trying to stop growth. We just want to grow in a way that's meaningful, and that in 20 years we can all look back and say we did it the right way. So anything else on this item? Okay. All those in favor of approving ordinance number 23-26 regarding the moratorium related to commercial uses along portions of Tower Terrace Road, Highway 13, and Central Corridor zoning districts, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. That brings us to the public forum, which is a time set aside for comments from members of the public on any item, any topic. Please come forward. Okay, seeing no one's coming forward, we will move on to council comments. Start with Gage.
I would just encourage anybody listening or watching to attend the local candidate forum next week to just hear from their local candidates on all levels, the school board, us, and it's a good time to just ask questions and get to know folks. So hope to see a lot of people there engaged in their community.
Steve. Okay.
Well, once again, Mr. Jensen was able to summarize my thoughts into a very short 3 sentences. He took 3 paragraphs and put it into 3 sentences. Thank you, Steve.
Well, nothing. Okay, and Sarah's left already. For my part, just wanted to mention a few things that I represented the city doing over the last several weeks. Attended the WMT 70th anniversary. I spoke at Sunrise Rotary. I was on the Channel 9 Everyday Iowa program and talked about our city and what we're doing. The Chamber annual meeting, congratulations to the Chamber on a well orchestrated event. And Sarah left, but she invited me to speak for Senior Appreciation Day at the YMCA last week. And today I read at Schools for America Reads. Tomorrow I have seven classrooms. So, but I always enjoy that, and it'll be a packed morning. And then on Saturday, our youth council will meet for the first time this year. So we're looking forward to engaging with a group of 25 or 30 high school students, and those monthly meetings will continue through May. And finally, I want to thank our team for the nomination for the Mayor of the Year award. The award is very nice and it's a nice honor, but as I shared with a few people, to me, what means a lot more is the feeling of feeling valued by our team, that they took the time to nominate me for the award. And that's, to me, that's the most rewarding part of it. And I really appreciate that. And the award really goes to our entire team, No one accomplishes anything on their own. And no one can be, I'm a true believer, and I say it a lot. No one can be successful unless other people around them are invested in their success. And so I really appreciate Team Marion and the nomination, and you're allowing me to lead. And yeah, thank you very much. With that, the meeting is adjourned. We'll ask the council to please stay for a minute. Ryan needs to share something with us, so.